9-year-old Lily Cole leaned her small back against the cold bedroom door, as if her thin body could keep the whole world out. Her arms were wrapped tightly around her baby brother, Noah, who trembled in her embrace. Tears slid down her cheeks and fell onto his soft hair. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please don't hurt us anymore." Somewhere else in the same large house, a man in a flawless suit glanced at the time on his expensive watch. From the windows of his corner office in Riverfront Tower, he could see the whole city. Cars moved like glowing veins of light. Neon signs flickered to life. On his desk lay a neat stack of documents waiting for his signature. His name was Adrian Cole. To anyone looking in from the outside, he was the picture of success, a respected businessman, owner of a thriving company, a man who lived on the top floor and made decisions that affected hundreds of people. But if you could step past the suit, past the polished shoes and the gleaming watch, and walk straight into his heart, you wouldn't find joy there. You would find only emptiness. My friend, listen very carefully. This is the story of a little girl who used her courage to change everything. Of a wealthy man who almost lost his children without even realizing it. And this is a reminder that sometimes, the smallest voice in the room is the bravest one. Before we go back to where it all began, if you love emotional stories that can change lives, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps more people find stories with powerful lessons. Now, let's return to where everything started. Many years ago, Adrian's life was full of warmth, not cold and empty like it is now. Back then, he had a wife named Claire. She had the kind of laugh that made other people smile just hearing it, even if they didn't know why. She remembered every birthday, every anniversary, every favorite snack. She greeted the neighbors by name. She would slip little handwritten notes into Adrian's briefcase, with messages like, "Come home early. We're waiting for you." They had a daughter named Lily. Lily with curious dark eyes and soft curly hair. Lily ran barefoot in the backyard chasing butterflies, while Claire stood on the porch clapping and cheering. Later, they were blessed with a baby boy, Noah. He was born on a night of heavy rain pounding against the hospital windows, with thunder rumbling in the distance. His cry was small but strong. His tiny fingers wrapped tightly around Adrian's thumb when the nurse placed him in his father's arms. But that very night, Adrian's entire world collapsed. Postpartum complications. Sudden hemorrhaging. A whole room full of doctors and nurses trying everything they knew. Alarms blaring. Urgent instructions. The cold, steady beeping of the monitors. And then, a silence louder than any sound. Claire's hand slipped from Adrian's. Her chest stopped rising. The eyes that had once been so full of life closed for the last time. She never got the chance to hold her son. Adrian walked out of the hospital with a newborn in his arms and a pain he had no idea how to face. He still had Lily at home, waiting for her mother, still not understanding that she would never see her again. He didn't know how to be a father and a widower at the same time. He didn't know how to look at Lily's face without seeing Claire's smile reflected in it. He didn't know how to hear Noah's cries without remembering the flat, lifeless tone of that heart monitor. So he did what many people do when they are broken. He ran from the pain, from the memories, from the emptiness inside the house. He buried himself in work. He stretched his hours longer and longer. He took every business trip, every meeting, every conference. "I'm doing this for them," he told himself. "I'm building their future." But the truth was, he was just trying not to feel. Weeks turned into long months. Noah, once a fragile newborn, became a chubbier baby, but most of the time he was carried by the housekeeper and the nanny. Lily learned to read, to pour herself a drink, to tie her shoes mostly without her father ever noticing those little milestones. Nearly 8 months passed. During that time, Adrian rarely sat on the floor to play with Lily. He did hold Noah, but only for a moment, awkwardly, before quickly handing him back to someone else. His heart was full of love, but it was buried under layers of guilt and grief. He didn't know how to reach out to his own children. It was during this time that Selina appeared. Selina had once known Claire. At least, that's how Adrian remembered it. One evening, she knocked on the Coles' front door with a tray of baked food wrapped in a clean kitchen towel. Her smile was gentle. "I heard about Claire," she said softly. "I'm so sorry. I just wanted to bring something and see how you and the kids are doing. Claire would have wanted someone to check on you." She stepped into the house as if she'd always belonged there. She picked up the toys scattered across the living room floor. She helped Lily with her homework. She gently rocked Noah when he fussed and hummed a soft lullaby. "Thank you," Adrian said more than once. "Most of the time I have no idea what I'm doing anymore." Selina shook her head sympathetically. "You're doing your best," she told him. "You have to work. Someone has to keep everything going. Let me help with the kids. You don't have to do this alone." She always seemed to know when to speak and when to stay quiet. She listened to his stories about Claire. She never criticized him for his long hours. She always seemed grateful just to be there. Slowly, a thought began to form in Adrian's mind. What if Selina became a permanent part of their lives? What if the children had a woman in the house, against someone to read bedtime stories, someone to smile at them every morning? He told himself it would be good for Lily and Noah, that they needed a mother figure. He also told himself it might make the house feel less empty. It wasn't long before Adrian and Selina got married. The neighbors nodded approvingly. "The kids need stability," they said. "At least they won't grow up with just a busy father." And for a time, things did look better from the outside. When Adrian was home, Selina was affectionate and attentive. She cooked his favorite dishes. She packed Noah's bag. She braided Lily's hair. In front of him, she called Lily sweetheart and fussed over baby Noah. She tucked the children in at night with soft, gentle words. She even put photos of Claire into frames and hung them around the house, as if she wanted to honor the woman who had passed away. Selina's voice changed. Lily was the first to notice. When her father was home, Selina's words were warm. When he left, her voice turned sharp as ice. "Don't slouch. Why are you so slow? You never do anything right." Noah, the baby who had once been held gently on her hip, started spending long stretches alone in his crib. When his crying dragged on from minutes into hours, Selina's patience vanished. Her heels pounded down the hallway, the door flew open, and she hissed, "Enough! You're not the only one in this house. Be quiet!" Lily began sneaking into Noah's room whenever Selina wasn't around. She tried to lift the baby, even though he was heavy for her thin arms, and rocked him back and forth. "It's okay, Noah," she whispered. "I'm here. Don't cry. Big Sis is here with you." Another pair of eyes saw what was happening. The housekeeper, Mrs. Gomez. Maria Gomez had worked for the Coles long before Noah was born. She'd seen Lily as a baby, laughed with Claire in the kitchen, and listened to many of Adrian's stories about his projects. To her, they weren't just the Coles, they were family. So when Selina's smile began to crack at the corners, Mrs. Gomez noticed. She noticed how Selina's face went cold the moment Adrian left for the airport. She heard the change in Selina's tone, no more tender, thoughtful words, only cold commands. She saw Lily's cheerful chatter slowly fade, replaced by silent nods and downcast eyes. One afternoon, after Adrian had been away on a week-long business trip, Mrs. Gomez heard a heated argument in the kitchen, a hand slamming on the table. Noah wailing. Then, angry footsteps going upstairs. A door slamming. The metallic click of a lock. Her heart pounded. She went up the stairs and saw Lily's bedroom door tightly shut. She turned the handle. Locked. "Lily," she whispered, knocking softly. "It's me. Are you okay?" A tiny voice answered from inside. "I'm okay, Mrs. Gomez," Lily said quietly. "Selena says I have to stay in here." "I was bad. What did you do?" Mrs. Gomez asked. "I spilled some juice," Lily replied. Mrs. Gomez closed her eyes. "Spilled some juice." She went downstairs and found Selena sitting calmly at the dining table, scrolling on her phone as if nothing had happened. "Ms. Selena?" Mrs. Gomez began carefully. "Lily says she's locked in a room." "Maybe?" Selena didn't even look up. "Discipline," she said flatly. "The girl has to learn. Don't interfere." Mrs. Gomez's stomach twisted. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. But Selena had a huge advantage. She knew how to perform when people were watching. She was always charming in front of guests. She spoke about Claire with tender affection in front of the neighbors. She praised Adrian's business in front of his colleagues, and Adrian himself was almost never home long enough to see anything beyond what happened at the dinner table. Mrs. Gomez felt trapped. She needed this job. But with each passing day, she saw the light in Lily's eyes grow dimmer. Then came the day everything changed. Adrian sat at his desk in Riverfront Tower, eyes scanning lines of text without really seeing anything. His assistant had just placed another stack of documents on the corner of his desk. He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Outside, the city was bathed in a soft, late afternoon glow. The office looked like a photograph, perfect, controlled, emotionless. He looked up and caught his own reflection in the darkened window. He saw his tired eyes. He saw the lines at the corners of his mouth. He saw a man who could close deals on 3 continents, but couldn't remember the last story Lily told him, or the last time he simply held Noah and listened to him breathe. A thought hit him so suddenly it almost hurt. "What am I doing?" he whispered. He remembered the little notes Claire used to write, with words like, "Come home early, we miss you." He remembered the last time he saw Lily, standing in the doorway in a dress that seemed just a bit too big, waving goodbye as he rushed to the airport. He tried to picture Noah's face, but it was blurry, like a photograph he hadn't looked at in a long time. Adrian stood up. He walked out of his office, past surprised employees, and said to his assistant, "That's enough for today. Cancel my evening schedule. No calls, no messages." "Should I let Mrs. Selena know you're coming home?" the assistant asked. Adrian paused. "No," he said. "I want to surprise them." Maybe Lily would run down the hallway and wrap her arms around his waist. Maybe Noah would reach for him the way children reach for the person they know best. Just the thought warmed him for the first time in months. He drove home through streets slowly lighting up for the night. The iron gate at the front opened, and his car rolled up the driveway. From the outside, the house looked the same as always. Elegant, perfectly maintained, a few windows glowing with light. Inside, the grand foyer glowed with soft golden light. The marble floor reflected the chandelier overhead. Everything was tidy. Too tidy. Too quiet. Adrian set down his briefcase and took off his coat. "Selena?" he called. "Lily? Noah?" No answer. Then he heard it. At first, just a tiny sound, a tired, broken cry, a baby's cry. Adrian held his breath. "Noah?" he whispered, walking toward the sound. As he moved down the hallway, another voice rose. A small, desperate voice. "Please don't hurt me and my brother anymore. Please, we'll be good." Lily, Adrian froze. Those words hit him like a blow to the chest. He walked faster, heart pounding, following the voices, until he reached the doorway of the living room. He stopped, just outside, unseen. What he saw next would be burned into his memory forever. Lily was sitting on the floor, hunched over, her hair messy and tangled. Her pink dress was torn at one sleeve, smeared with dirt and something darker, maybe dried food or juice. Her small arms were wrapped tightly around Noah, whose face was red from crying. His tiny fingers clutched at Lily's dress as if he were afraid she might disappear. Lily's shoulders trembled. She pressed her cheek against Noah's head. Standing in front of them was Selena. Her dress fit perfectly. Her makeup was flawless. Her hair looked freshly styled, like she'd just left the salon. But her eyes were cold.
"Didn't I tell you to be quiet?"
she snapped.
"I don't want to hear another sound."
"If you don't listen, I'll throw both of you out. You think the street will be kind to brats like you?" Lily's voice came out in choked sobs. "Please, don't." "We'll be quiet." That was enough. "Stop!" Adrian shouted, stepping into the room. Selena spun around, eyes wide. For a split second, shock flashed across her face. "Adrian!" she cried, her voice suddenly high and syrupy. "You scared me. I didn't know you were home." But he walked right past her. He knelt beside Lily and gathered Noah into his arms. It felt strange Noah was bigger now, heavier. Adrian realized, with a jolt of shame, that he had rarely truly held his son. Noah clung to him, still sobbing. "Lily," Adrian said softly, "come here, sweetheart." She looked up at him. A faint spark of hope flickered in her eyes. She leaned toward him instinctively. Then her gaze flicked to Selena. Fear flooded her little body and she froze. Behind Adrian, Selena's posture stiffened. For a brief moment, rage flashed across her face like lightning. Then she hid it. Her lips curved into a soft smile as she stepped closer. "You must be exhausted," she said sweetly, laying a light hand on his shoulder. "The kids were just acting up a little. You know how sensitive they are. They cry about everything." Adrian looked down at Lily's dress. The fabric wasn't just dirty, it was torn, and not in the random way it might be if a child had fallen. It looked like someone had grabbed it and yanked hard. He looked at Noah's arm. There were red marks there, small and oval-shaped. Clearly the shape of fingers. His stomach clenched. "Selena," he said, trying to keep his voice from shaking, "what are these marks on Noah's arm?" She let out a light, dismissive laugh. "Oh, that," she said. "Kids kick and squirm all the time. Sometimes I have to hold him tight so he doesn't fall. The pediatrician said those kinds of marks are normal. You're exhausted, Adrian. You're seeing things that aren't there." Noah whimpered in his arms. Lily's small hands trembled in her lap. Before Adrian could say anything else, someone appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Cole," a hesitant voice said. "I didn't know you were home?" It was Mrs. Gomez. The look on her face told him more than any words she could have spoken. She looked at the marks on Noah's arm, at Lily's torn dress, at Selena's controlled smile, and finally at Adrian, with a pleading gaze that said, "Please, pay attention, please." Selena turned her head, her smile tightening just a little. "Mrs. Gomez has been such a help," she said. "You know, taking care of two kids isn't easy, especially when their father is always away on business." Mrs. Gomez nodded, but the gesture was stiff. Adrian had known this woman for years. He trusted her with his house keys, his schedule, his children. And now, his instincts finally woke up. He turned back to Lily. "Sweetheart," he asked gently, "what happened to your dress? Why is it torn?" Lily parted her lips. "Yeah." Her eyes flicked toward Selena again. The room suddenly felt smaller. Selena's smile didn't move, but her eyes sharpened. Lily swallowed. "I was playing," she whispered. "I fell." Selina laughed softly. "She loves climbing trees in the backyard," she explained. "I keep telling her to be careful, but she doesn't listen. You know how kids are always getting themselves scraped up." Adrian touched the torn fabric. He knew very well what rips from tree branches and typical childhood tumblers looked like. This wasn't that. This looked like anger. Mrs. Gomez let out a quiet sigh. "Mr. Cole," she said carefully, "would you like some coffee? Maybe we could talk in the next room?" Adrian looked at her. In that moment, he made a decision. "All right," he said. "That sounds good." He turned to Selina. "Could you change Lily into something clean?" he asked. "And make sure Noah gets his milk?" "Of course, darling," she replied. "Whatever you say." She turned and walked toward the hallway. Adrian watched her reflection in the glass of a framed picture on the wall. For just 1 second, when she thought no one was looking, her expression changed. The sweetness vanished. What remained was something cold and sharp. Adrian understood then that there were dark corners in his own home he had never really seen. Mrs. Gomez led him into a small room next to the kitchen. It was a room Claire had once loved, a place where she'd planned meals and birthday parties. Now it felt heavy and unfamiliar. Mrs. Gomez closed the door behind them. "Maria," Adrian said quietly, "tell me what's going on. I want the truth. All of it." Her hands trembled as she clutched a handkerchief. "Mr. Cole," she began, her voice shaking, "I should have told you sooner. I was afraid. But I can't stay silent anymore. Sooner or later, everything has to come out." "Afraid of what?" he asked. "Afraid of her," she said. "Afraid of Selina?" She hesitated, then went on. "She said if I ever told you how she treats the children, she'd accuse me of stealing. She said you'd fire me immediately. She said no one would believe me over her." Tears filled her eyes. "But this isn't about my job anymore," she said. "It's about Lily and Noah. Mr. Cole, what she does to them when you're gone." Adrian's throat went dry. "Maria, tell me," he said. "No matter how much it hurts, I need to know." Mrs. Gomez nodded, wiping her tears. "She locks them in their rooms," she said, "for hours. Sometimes all day. She says it's to teach them gratitude. She gives them very little food and calls it a lesson. If they say they're hungry, she tells them they're greedy and ungrateful." Adrian's hands curled into fists in his lap. "And Noah?" he asked softly. Her voice cracked. "She says he cries too much," she said. "She leaves him alone in the crib and shuts the door. I've heard him cry for hours. When I tried to go in and hold him, she blocked me. She said he has to learn to stop crying, or she'll never have any peace." Mrs. Gomez took out her phone, her hands still shaking. "I didn't know what else to do," she said. "I was so afraid for them. So I started taking pictures. In case I ever got the chance to show someone." She handed the phone to Adrian. He looked down. There was a picture of Lily kneeling on the kitchen floor. Her small hands clutching a rag, the tiles smeared with water from scrubbing. Her knees were red and scraped. There was a picture of Noah, his face thinner, eyes too big, with red finger-shaped marks around his tiny arm. There was a picture of a door with a lock clearly mounted on the outside. There was a picture of plates with only a small amount of food on them, labeled lunch for a child. Each photo was like a knife sinking deeper into Adrian's heart. While he was flying around the world, sleeping in luxury hotels, signing contracts in elegant conference rooms, his children were suffering inside the home he paid for to take care of them. He felt sick. "You've been very brave," he said hoarsely. "You may have saved them." "I should have done more," she whispered. I'm so sorry. Adrian put the phone down and took a long, deep breath. He couldn't change the months he had missed. He couldn't erase the harm that had already been done. But he could decide what kind of father he would be from this moment on. I'm going to protect them, he said quietly. I don't care how complicated it gets. I don't care what it costs me. It ends here. That night, Adrian woke up completely from the sleepwalking state his life had become. He fed Noah with his own hands and stayed in the nursery until the baby finally relaxed and fell asleep on his chest. He sat at Lily's bedside and listened as she cautiously asked her questions. He didn't have all the answers, but he had a phone. The next morning, after making sure Selena wasn't nearby, he went into his study and dialed a number he hadn't used in years. Turner and Associates Law Office. A professional voice answered. This is Adrian Cole, he said. I need to speak with David Turner. It's urgent. It's about my children. A few minutes later, David Turner, an old college friend and now a well-known attorney, was on the line. Adrian. Long time no see? What's going on? He asked. Adrian tightened his grip on the phone. It's Selena, he said. She's been abusing Lily and Noah. There was a brief silence on the other end. That's a very serious allegation, David said finally, his tone turning firm. Tell me everything. So Adrian did. He described the crying he'd heard, Lily's torn dress, the bruises on Noah's arm. He recounted what Mrs. Gomez had told him. He sent the photos by email while they were speaking. When he finished, David didn't ask if Adrian was overreacting. All right, David said. Here's what we're going to do. He laid out a plan. Get an emergency protective order, gather evidence. Obtain a formal statement from Mrs. Gomez, and take legal steps to ensure the children would be protected immediately. First, David said, I want you to bring the kids and Mrs. Gomez to my office today. We'll document everything. Don't argue with Selena. Don't let her suspect anything. If she realizes what's going on, she'll twist the story. Twist it how? Adrian asked, though deep down he could already guess. She'll say you're never home, David replied. She'll paint herself as the devoted stepmother, doing everything for two grieving children, while you bury yourself in work. She might even hire someone like Olivia Hayes. Hayes is famous for turning abusive parents into saints on paper. Can we win? Adrian asked. If we stay calm and stick to the truth, David said, then yes. The photos. Maria's testimony. And Lily. Adrian looked toward the hallway, where Lily was sitting with Noah in her lap. Lily? He repeated. If she's willing, her words will carry a lot of weight, David said. In cases like this, judges pay close attention to what children say. But she's still very young, Adrian. If the judge wants to talk to her, she may have to describe what happened. You'll need to prepare her gently, not force her. That afternoon, Adrian sat on the couch where Lily and Noah were playing quietly. Lily, he said softly, can we talk for a bit? She hugged Noah closer. Did I do something wrong, Dad? She asked immediately. No, he said. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one who was wrong. I should have seen what was happening sooner. She lowered her head, looking at her hands. Will Selena be mad? She asked. She might be, Adrian answered honestly. But I'm not here to talk about her feelings. I'm here to talk about yours. And Noah's. He took a breath. There might be some very important people who want to ask you about what happened when I wasn't home, he said. They might wear special clothes and sit behind a big desk. They might look a little scary. But their job is to keep children safe. Lily's eyes widened. Like a judge, she asked. That's right, he said. A judge. If they ask you questions, I want you to tell them exactly what happened, not what you think they want to hear. The truth. Do you understand? Lily hesitated. If I tell the truth, she whispered, will Selena get mad? I'll be there, Adrian said. Mrs. Gomez will be there. David will be there. You won't be alone. Lily looked at Noah, who was trying to chew on her sleeve. If I tell the truth, she asked, will it help keep Noah safe? Yes, Adrian replied without hesitation. That's the only reason we're doing all of this. She swallowed. Then I'll tell everything, she said quietly. Because Noah can't talk yet. If I don't say it, no one will know. Someone has to speak for him. Adrian blinked back tears. His daughter was only 9, yet she had stepped into a kind of courage many adults never find in a lifetime. The very next day, a man with a stack of papers showed up at the door. Papers for Mrs. Selena Cole, he said, handing over an envelope. Minutes later, Selena's scream shook the house. She stormed into the living room, waving the papers. What is this? She shrieked. Adrian, what on earth are you doing? Mario, Lily-Ann Noah flinched at the sharpness in her voice. Adrian stepped between her and the children. These are legal documents, he said calmly. Read them, and you'll understand. She scanned the first page, her face flushing red. You're trying to take custody away from me, she hissed. After everything I've done for this family. You hurt them, he said quietly. I'm not going to let that continue. I was just disciplining them, she shot back. Discipline and abuse are two different things. You're never home. What do you know? Mrs. Gomez stood in the doorway. Selena whirled on her. This is your fault, isn't it? She screamed. You turned him against me. I only told him the truth, Mrs. Gomez said, her voice trembling but firm. The truth? Selena laughed harshly. You mean your version? You're jealous. You are never going to be what I am in this house. Mrs. Gomez reached into her apron and pulled out her phone. I have pictures, she said simply. Pictures of the bruises, pictures of the doors, pictures of the plates. For a moment, Selena froze. Her eyes darted to the phone. Then she shook her head, lips curling into a sneer. You think that's going to save you? She spat. You have no idea who you're up against. I'll hire Olivia Hayes. She'll tear you both apart in court. You'll regret choosing me as your enemy. She grabbed her purse, stomped toward the door, and threw one last sentence over her shoulder. You think you're the hero here, Adrian? She snarled. Just wait until the judge hears what kind of father you really are. Always gone. Never there for your kids? The door slammed behind her. A tiny voice rose behind Adrian. Is she going to take us away? Lily asked. Adrian sank to his knees and pulled both Lily and Noah into his arms. No, he said gently. I will do everything in my power to make sure that never happens. We're going to get through this together. And we're going to fight. The days that followed passed in a blur. David filed for an emergency protection order. He organized the photos. He took an official statement from Mrs. Gomez and recorded every detail Lily could remember. On the morning of the hearing, Adrian felt like his stomach was full of stones. He put on a simple suit knot, his most expensive, not the most impressive, just clean and respectful. He helped Lily into a plain dress and made sure Noah's clothes were comfortable. At the courthouse, everything seemed enormous. High ceilings. Wide hallways. People speaking in hushed tones. Finally, they stepped into a small courtroom that, to Adrian, felt bigger than any room he'd ever entered. At the front sat Judge Renee Moore, a woman in her 50s with graying hair pulled back neatly, and eyes that looked as though they'd seen more than people wanted to show. On one side were Adrian, Lily, Noah in Mrs. Gomez's arms, and David Turner. On the other side sat Selina in a navy suit, with soft makeup and carefully styled hair, next to her lawyer, Olivia Hayes. Dressed in a sharp suit, and wearing a calm, professional smile. "All rise," the court officer called. Everyone stood. "You may be seated," Judge Moore said. "We are here today to address custody issues regarding the two minors. Lily Cole, 6 years old, and Noah Cole, 8 months." David rose first. "Your Honor," he began, "we are here because two small children have been deeply harmed behind the doors of a house that is, from the outside, looks perfect." He submitted the photos. He called Mrs. Gomez to the stand. At first, her voice shook, but as she spoke, she grew steadier. She described Lily being locked in her room for hours, Noah crying in his crib, the meager meals, the cruel words. "Did you try to intervene?" Judge Moore asked. "Yes, Your Honor," she replied. "But Ms. Selina threatened me. She said she'd ruin me. I was afraid. So all I could do was I took pictures of what I saw and waited for a chance to tell Mr. Cole." When she stepped down, Olivia Hayes stood up. She painted a completely different picture. She described Adian as an absent father, burying himself in work after his wife's death. She cast Selina as a woman who had sacrificed her life to care for two grieving children. "Did she set rules?" Olivia asked. "Yes." "Did she discipline them?" "Yes." "But discipline, Your Honor, is not abuse. Children fall. They bruise. They say they're hungry when they're not allowed sweets any time they want." She called Selina to the stand. Selina spoke in a soft, trembling voice. "I married a man with a broken heart," she said. "I walked into a house still filled with another woman's memory. I tried to help. I gave up my work, my friends. Most days, all I had were two grieving children for company. I tried my best. Maybe sometimes I was a bit strict. But everything I did came from love." She dabbed at her eyes at just the right moments. If someone hadn't seen the photos or heard Lily's desperate pleas, they might have believed her. Judge Moore listened without interrupting. When Selina stepped down, the judge folded her hands. "I've heard from the adults," she said. "Now I want to hear from the child who lived through all of this." Gaze fell on Lily. "Lily," Judge Moore said gently, "would you be willing to come up here and talk with me for a bit?" Lily's fingers dug into Adrian's sleeve. He bent down to her level. "Remember what I told you?" he whispered. "Just tell the truth. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Lily took a deep breath. She let go of his sleeve and walked toward the front of the courtroom, her small shoes making soft sounds on the floor. She climbed onto the witness chair. Her feet dangled, not quite touching the ground. "Hello, Lily," Judge Moore said kindly. "My name is Moore. Thank you for being brave and coming up here to talk with me." Lily nodded. "Lily," the judge continued, "can you tell me what life is like at home when your dad is there?" Lily thought for a moment. "When Dad is home," she said, "Selina's very nice. She smiles. She cooks the food Dad likes. She talks to me and Noah very gently." "And when your dad is not home?" the judge asked softly. Lily's hands twisted together in her lap. "Everything changes," she whispered. "How does it change?" the judge asked. "She yells a lot," Lily said. "A lot. If I drop a spoon, she says, I'm useless. If Noah cries, she says he's annoying. She says we're bad kids." "Does she ever lock you in your room?" the judge asked. Lily nodded. "Yes," she said. "Sometimes for a very long time. Sometimes all day. I can't come out. Not even to use the bathroom." "What do you eat on those days?" the judge asked gently. Sometimes just a little bread, Lily replied. Sometimes nothing until night. If we say we're hungry, she says we're greedy. She says we should be grateful. And what about your little brother? The judge asked. Does Noah get enough to eat? Lily's eyes filled with tears. No, she said. He cries a lot. I think his tummy hurts. She says he has to learn to be quiet. Sometimes he cries for a long, long time, so I sing to him so he knows he's not alone. Judge Moore's face remained calm, but her eyes sought Ned. Lily, she asked, does she ever hurt you or Noah with her hands? Yes, Lily answered. She squeezes my arm really hard. It leaves marks. And she squeezes Noah like that too, even though he's just a baby. Does she tell you not to tell your dad? The judge asked.
Yes,
Lily replied. She says, if I tell Dad, she'll throw us out on the street. She says nobody wants bad kids like us. The courtroom was completely silent. Lily sniffed and drew a deeper breath. But I couldn't stay quiet anymore, she said, her voice stronger. Noah can't talk yet. Noah can't talk yet. Noah can't talk yet. If I don't say anything, nobody will know. Someone has to say what happened. Judge Moore looked at her for a long moment. Thank you, Lily, she said. You've been very brave. Lily turned as if to step down, but Olivia Hayes suddenly rose. Your Honor, Olivia said, may I ask the child a few questions? Judge Moore hesitated, then nodded. Keep it brief and appropriate, she warned. Olivia approached Lily with a gentle smile. Lily, she said in a friendly tone, you love your dad very much, don't you? Yes, Lily answered. And you miss your mum, Claire, very much too, don't you? Lily nodded. After your mum died, you were very sad, weren't you? Olivia continued. Yes, sometimes when we're very sad, Olivia said, our feelings can make things seem worse than they really are. Do you think that might have happened here? Maybe Selena just set rules, and your sadness made it feel like she was being mean. Lily frowned, thinking. No, ma'am, she said. I know when someone is just making rules. Selena hurt us on purpose. Maybe you're sad because your dad is gone a lot, Olivia pressed. Maybe you think Selena is taking your mum's place, and that makes you angry. Is it possible you misunderstood her? Lily shook her head. My feelings don't trick me, she said clearly. Selena is always mean when Dad is not home. She doesn't teach us. She hurts us. Olivia's smile thinned. Lily, you're very young, she said. Do you really understand what discipline means? Lily sat up straighter. My mum had rules, she said. She told me to say please and thank you. She told me to clean my room. Sometimes she said no when I wanted something. But she never locked me up. She never took my food away. She never squeezed my arm so hard it left finger marks. Lily looked straight at Judge Moore. Discipline helps you grow, she said. What Selena did just made us scared. That's not the same thing. The air in the room seemed to change. And that was when Selena snapped. She's lying, she screamed, jumping to her feet. Every head turned toward her. I did everything for you. She shouted at Lily. You ungrateful brat. Mrs. Cole, control yourself, Judge Moore said sharply. But Selena had gone too far. You want the truth, she yelled. Fine. Yes, I locked them in their rooms when they were bad. Yes, I made them wait until dinner when they acted greedy. Someone had to teach them. Olivia grabbed her arm, whispering frantically, Sit down. Don't say another word. Selena yanked her arm free. If Adrian had been a real father, instead of chasing money around the world, she shouted, I wouldn't have had to do any of this. "Mrs. Cole," Judge Moore said, her voice like a blade, "that's enough. I find you in contempt of court. Bailiff, remove her from the courtroom." As the officers approached, Selina kept screaming.
"You'll regret this," she howled. "All of you! You've taken everything from me. This isn't over."
Her voice echoed in the hallway long after the door slammed shut. Silence settled over the courtroom. Judge Moore turned back to Lily. "You did exactly what you needed to do," she said gently. "You helped me see the truth." Then she addressed the case again. "I've reviewed the photos," she said. "I've listened to Maria Gomez's detailed testimony. I've carefully heard Lily's account. And I have just witnessed Mrs. Selina Cole's behavior in this courtroom." She lifted her gavel. "It is clear to the court," she continued, "that Mrs. Selina Cole has engaged in a pattern of emotional and physical abuse toward these two children." Adrian held his breath. "Therefore," Judge Moore said, "I award full custody of Lily and Noah Cole to their father, Mr. Adrian Cole. Mrs. Selina Cole is prohibited from having any contact with the children. Effective immediately, until further order of the court. Additionally, I am referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for potential criminal charges." The sound of the gavel echoed firmly. It was decided. Lily stepped down from the witness stand and ran straight into her father's arms. Mrs. Gomez gently placed Noah back into Adrian's embrace. And he held both children tightly against his chest. They had come through something terrible, but they had come through it together. Time moved forward. 2 years later, the house felt completely different. Mornings were filled with the clinking of spoons in cereal bowls and laughter over silly jokes. Afternoons were full of school stories, questions, and small footsteps running up and down the hallway. Adrian had changed his life. He cut down almost all business trips. He moved much of his work home. He kept his evenings clear just to be with Lily and Noah. The most important title he had was no longer printed on a business card. It was Dad. One bright morning, he stood at the kitchen window, coffee cup in hand, looking out at the backyard. Lily, now 11, knelt by a small garden bed they had planted in Claire's memory. She was teaching Noah, now 9, how to gently tie the tomato plants to their stakes. "Don't tie them too tight," she said. "Just enough so they won't fall, but loose enough so they can still grow." Noah frowned in concentration. "Like this?" he asked, clumsily looping the string. "Almost," Lily smiled, adjusting it. "There now, it's perfect." From the window, Adrian smiled. The therapy sessions had helped. The nightmares had faded. The memories of those dark months still existed, but they weren't the only story anymore. Love and time had slowly written new chapters over the old pain. "Dad," Noah called when he spotted him. "Come look. The tomatoes are huge now." Adrian stepped outside, feeling the warm sunlight on his face. He walked over to the children and knelt beside them. "Wow," he said. "These are going to make the best pasta sauce this family has ever had." Lily grinned. "Mrs. Gomez says Mum would be really proud," she said softly. She always wanted a garden like this. Adrian's chest tightened, not with tearing grief anymore, but with deep gratitude. "She would be proud," he said quietly, "of both of you." That afternoon, the kitchen was full of life. The smell of tomatoes simmering on the stove, herbs being chopped on the cutting board, cookies baking in the oven. Noah accidentally spilled flour on the counter and burst out laughing. Lily rolled her eyes, then started laughing too. The house that had once been filled with fear and shouting now echoed with something entirely different. Life. That night, after dinner, cleanup, and one last game of hide-and-seek, Adrian tucked Noah into bed.
"Dad?" Noah mumbled sleepily. "Are you going on a trip tomorrow?"
"No," Adrian said, smoothing the blanket.
"I'll be right here."
"Good," Noah sighed.
"I like it when you're home."
Down the hall, Lily lay on her bed with a book in her hands.
"Lights out,"
Adrian said, leaning against the doorframe.
"Just one more page," she begged.
He chuckled.
"Okay, one more page," he agreed. "But only one."
She smiled and nodded. As he turned to go, she called softly, "Dad."
"Yes?"
he asked. "Thank you," she said, "for listening to me. For believing me back then." His throat tightened. "Thank you," he replied, "for being brave enough to speak up."
"You didn't just save yourself, Lily. You saved Noah. You saved me, too."
Later, he stood alone by the back door, looking out at the garden under the moonlight. The tomato plants stood tall and steady, held by gentle ties. Not crushed, not string-lied, just supported enough to help them grow straight. Just like his children. There had been a time when this house was full of secrets and fear. Now, it was full of healing and laughter. He thought of Claire. "I can't change how long it took me to finally wake up," he said silently in his heart. "But I'm awake now. And I will never stop listening. I will never stop protecting them." In the quiet of the night, Lily and Noah slept peacefully in their rooms. No locked doors, no shouting. Only the sound of their steady breathing. When an adult finally stops and truly listens, a child can step out of the shadows and into the light. Sometimes, the bravest voice in the room belongs to the smallest person. And sometimes, love and truth are strong enough to heal even the deepest wounds. The Cole family had finally, truly found their way home. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and remember, you never know whose life might change just because someone finally chose to listen.